most of the stuff was manual and also driven by images and animators in SDK2. And especially in Press Your Luck, it was very evident because it used the original patterns from the original version of the show that Michael Larson memorized. And later on, with Udon, I made it completely random.
Welcome to Metaverse Degen. I'm Lion. Unfortunately, Raptor's not here with us today because he's over back home in his home state, drinking and having time with some old friends of his. But we are here joined by by a new friend of ours. Who are you?
Hello all, my name is GSGenesis. I am VR's game show pioneer, most known for making an overwhelming majority of game show sets that are completely functional here in VRChat since 2017.
Oh, wow. So I would like to know what got you started making game shows and all with all your world building and all of this here, man. What even got you in the platform?
That is a long story, but I'm happy to tell it here. So it all started when I was kind of a little kid, growing up with CBS and stuff like that, and the Bob Barker's Price is Right, just before Rod Roddy passed away, kind of like early 2000s. I remember the Showcase Showdown Wheel, Jeopardy with Alex Trebek, Wheel of Fortune with Pat Sajak, a couple other shows. I wasn't aware of GSN at the time, and also reruns of old Nickelodeon shows around the late 2000s. But around the time middle school came around, I learned that my mother was on Jeopardy before I was born in 1998. And after learning about that, I kind of took up the passion of game shows in terms of recreating them in any way possible. Inspired by my mother and her story of being on the show, I'll get to that in a bit. It wasn't really it was a really rough start because the school I went to was a special needs school because I am on the spectrum. And all the students, an overwhelming majority of students, I should say, were not fond of me. They bullied me every day over every little thing. And it really took a toll on me. But that didn't stop me from pursuing my passion of being a game show recreator. I first made my games in PowerPoint with the theme of making them as show accurate as possible, with the actual logos and the set design and the board, how it worked with the fonts and everything, daily doubles and all. It wasn't really popular because, again, the kids were biased. But when college came around for a dual enrollment program in my last year of high school, that's when it took off, and I saw potential in it, and as did others. I was with a new group of college students in a tech class about Microsoft Office, and I pursued the same ambition of doing it there, and it was actually well received. That was in 2017. Later that year, I got my first computer of my own, a MacBook Pro with a touch bar, and eventually I got boot camp on it. And then a friend of mine learned about VRChat around that time and started playing it, and then I got into it as well. And when I learned about the platform and how all its content's user created and how it uses Unity, a game engine, you can make your own models and your own logic, I then went into world making. And then I started making my world and eventually other projects, and now look where we are.
Wow.
It's been a long way.
So what was it like going from rebuilding the world, the game shows prior to VRChat, to them being able to like walk the sets and like almost a one-to-one recreation of it?
So with that, it was a new environment compared to what I did in PowerPoint. Obviously, it's in 3 dimensions, it's in VR, so you can look around and see everything you have. The original sets were not that accurate before. I just wanted to get them done and make the logic work. I remember the SDK2 days.
Oh. So
it was like the old way of doing things without Udon Sharp or anything like that. No real possibilities for what we do now. It was mostly animators and old object sync stuff. It was very, very finicky, but at the time it worked. My first show I ever made was Jeopardy! At the same time, it was Second Chance, which was kind of the predecessor to Press Your Luck, kind of long forgotten. It's hard. I don't really remember which one came first officially, but because we're both being developed around the same time, but Second Chance was one of the first ones that really worked. So what I use to make my sets is an app called Trimble SketchUp. That is a 3D modeling program, kind of like, not really like Blender or Maya. It's more like, it's used for architectural design mostly, but it's also good at making 3D models. It's basically, as a component, it's like the MS Paint of 3D modeling software, because you can draw the shapes you want, however you want. You can make lines and vertices, you can extrude them out along their faces, paint them. You get a lot of creative freedom to do it. And it's more easy. I think it's easier to learn than, like, say, Maya. and some more creators have used SketchUp before, like the McDonald's room made by VRGen was originally made with SketchUp, who is also a very good friend of mine. And that's what I used to model my worlds, and since then I've continued to do so. Then Unity, I port that FBX using SketchUp Pro to Unity. I add all the logic, the materials, the lights, the sounds, everything. And all my shows are driven by control consoles most of the time, usually in the back of the studio, because the studios are fairly accurate as well. For example, in the Press Your Luck and Family Feud worlds, they were taped at the CBS Television City's Studio 33, known as the Bob Barker Studio today. And I recreated that to my absolute best knowledge and attention to detail, counting every seat in the audience, making it as completely sizable as possible with the control booth in the back, using every known photo, video, and screen cap I could find.
Oh, wow. So I do have a question for you. You mentioned some of the first worlds you've made. How has the process of recreating a game show like this changed over the course of you making them from the SDK2 to today?
So I didn't really pay much attention to screen accuracy, as I said back in the day. But over time, I learned to appreciate the value of making it as close to real life as possible around the time SDK3 came out. I use some custom interfaces like cyan triggers in order to make it work now, because I'm more familiar with the drag and drop stuff. I've been used to that for a long time. So that's what I use to make the logic work, because I'm used to that sort of ease of use. I occasionally use Udon Sharp, but that's mostly for data storage, like the questions here in Millionaire and the surveys in Family Feud. Hopefully I get into that soon because of some upgrades that are coming soon, and also some deprecated software and community tools. But when I create my sets nowadays, it's all about detail, accuracy, and cross-platform compatibility and functionality. Every one of my maintained worlds is cross-platform, being available on PC and VR, Quest, Android, and iOS, which the closed beta still is going on. And I've been helping test that every so often.
Oh, wow.
So then there's the accuracy of it all. When it comes to the sets and the studios they're in, I study every known photo, video, screen cap, and audio clip I can find, including any master tapes that may currently be out there. And I study those to recreate them pretty accurately in SketchUp, as I said. Then it goes to Unity, and occasionally I group objects in SketchUp with certain faces or objects to make them work in unison with animators. For example, the lights, like those lights in the back with those light bands and the lighted stairs, are all groups in some way. So when the lights go down for the final 5 in Millionaire, they go off because they're grouped together. I don't have to worry about individually coloring them or whatever. They work with animators and they work in unison.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot. Go ahead.
No, you continue. I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's okay. But there's a lot that goes into making a world like this. And the functionality of it is one of the big parts. When it comes to making it work exactly as it does on TV, the control consoles really come in handy. My staff and fellow organizers and operators in the game show communities of VRChat oftentimes, not oftentimes, but always step in and help out. And oftentimes they're available, sometimes they're not, but depends on who is there on our game show nights. We're currently on a summer break right now from our events, and we're expected to pick up again sometime in October. So that's what we're doing.
Oh, wow. I have a lot of questions. I do apologize for interrupting midway through there, but I got a little excited for some questions. So I do apologize for that. One of which I asked, because you mentioned cross-compatibility. How do you juggle the functionality of the world with the panels, the controls for the whole game show, also making it work across each platform? May I ask?
Well, that's actually very easy to answer. So some things you don't see on the Quest version, such as light rigs, like those light bulbs above the studio, and also some high poly meshes, they're replaced while keeping the hierarchy the same or integrated into the world between builds. The whole experience, the console, and everything else remains the same. So it maintains compatibility between all the platforms VRChat runs on, while still keeping the same great experience.
Oh, wow.
So you don't lose much.
Oh, that's good to know. So also, how different is the iOS and some of the newer mobile platforms versus what a lot of people know as Quest? Is it any different between the requirements or functionality?
It's mostly the same. The only real difference is the platform and how to optimize for it. It's slightly, optimize a little bit more for iOS, but it's mostly the same visibility and look as the Quest version or Android. You don't have post-processing. It's a little more limited on what you see because it's still in closed beta. They're still working on it, but I hope it really comes out soon and people are able to run it.
Okay. And I have another question for you as well. Of all the worlds you've made, what ones are your favorites and why?
That I have a couple favorites. My most favorite of all is Press Your Luck. That is one I've put some of the most effort into. With the camera system, the board randomizer, the adaptive control, the adaptive scoreboard, and how I got those whammy animations in from the show really shows how my skills have evolved. And the second favorite I have to say would be Millionaire. This one here. Because how I built in every question, how it's mostly automatic and very easy to control, because you have all the buttons you need among both players on those little screens in front of you. You only get the buttons you need when you need them, and so you're not overwhelmed with controls. You have all the music, the lights, it's very intense, and it's really cool.
Okay. So with the worlds like this and Press Your Luck, the two of you mentioned, how long did it take to build those worlds from concept to finished published? What went into
It takes anywhere from a few weeks to several months to make a world. Press Your Luck, I'd say, took about 5 months from it since concept to its first version. Millionaire took a bit longer. And it depends on which version of Millionaire. I got help with the original, the modern Millionaire, to a friend who made Never Have I Ever Automated, and that was Twisty 10,000. He doesn't really play VRChat much anymore, but hopefully he'll come back soon, because he was a great help with making Millionaire modern.
Oh, okay. And at what point did you go from just making worlds to running the community? What started your community that you run? Like the ones we saw during PGKD Fest?
It started after about, I think, 2019, 2 years after I started playing, when I eventually started making my worlds more public and available, because originally I wasn't too sure about publishing those worlds for fear of people not understanding them, but eventually I warmed up to the idea. And eventually, as people saw them, more people got interested. I made a server, I made a VRChat group recently, kind of when it started off, and then people became interested over time, and they joined up. We organized events and meetups and stuff like that, and that's how it evolved. We have people like Alice Jellyfish, who is a very, very good person. She help stream. We got Bob Maple Wolf, who attends conventions as well, another streamer. We have a lot of good people on our team, like Jaguar Master, a very good Press Your Luck fan, who is one of my studio staff. I should say, I'm sorry if I kind of get caught up in my words. Sorry what to say. We have other co-creators like Doma Fox, who also make Gameshow worlds and inspired by me to make the shows they want to make. We also have streamers like Minutes in Valhalla. We have Drumsy on board. We also have other map makers like Jar, who is also a very good friend of mine as of 2023, and I don't intend on abandoning that anytime soon. She has been a very, very hard worker and a very good friend, and I will continue to be by her side as long as I can. Hopefully it never stops. We also have other big people like Slushy VRC, who actually managed to make the front page with a Family Feud event I helped with.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
In addition, I'm also part of the VRC Community Leaders Group, representing the game show community. So I hang out with people, the leads of other communities, like I know some of the VRC staff and the developers, and other communities like the leaders of Club Zodiac, I know Mondo Cat, and a bunch of other people. They are very fun to work with.
Oh, so what were some of the first events in your community like, and how have they evolved over the years? Like the events themselves and how they ran it, or you and your staff run?
That's kind of, they mostly been the same. We hold the game show night. We held game show nights every Tuesday and Saturday nowadays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time sharp. We meet up in a world like the Game Show Hub, where we watch videos, we talk, and kind of plan our night. Then we host 2 or 3 games that night. Sometimes, rarely in Discord, but mostly in VRChat. And we pick our games in advance. We have an audience. We stream them. And that has never changed.
Oh, wow. So Did you start off with a staff in the beginning, or did you kind of warm up to pulling people in over time?
I kind of warmed up to pulling people in over time. I used to do my events independently and kind of impromptu.
Okay. Oh, do you have any favorite moments or memories from your community over the years?
That there's a few. The first one was when we got into PJKT for the first time in 2024. It was really a big, bold step in making sure we are basically recognized as a community. We didn't have an event, but we did have a booth last year. And it was really fun to participate. People got to see it. They learned more. And it was really fun. The second thing was VRChat last winter, because it was our first real convention with based on the corporate side of things with sponsors and stuff. We also had an event there. We did Press Your Luck for Starlight Children's Foundation. It was all VRChat themed. We had 3 VRChat community leaders and representatives there. We had Minutes of Valhalla from the Minute Bar, a VTuber and streamer. We had Chris Connie, the community director of PJKT, and we had Pablo's Corner, the host and operator of Fail to Render, play the game. And all the money was donated to Starlight Children's Foundation based on 10% of the winner's score, and we maxed out at 1,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was a big deal. And the third thing coming up, you'll notice it at our current PGKT event that we had an event for as well last week at the time this is being recorded. We are doing another event at VRChat this summer with a really big plan. It is our first home contest on the Gameshow community side where people can win actual prizes.
Oh, wow.
And not only that, we're doing a different show. We're doing Match Game, and we're theming it based on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Ooh, that's really awesome.
So yeah, at the time of this recording, it's still heavily in development. The world's made, but the big thing behind it all is that we plan to get the voice cast from the original cartoon as the panelists.
That's actually pretty sick. I'll be honest with
Yes.
you. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so far it's looking promising. We heard back from the agent. He's down to have them attend the event. I answered all his questions in detail and plus some. So hopefully it works out. At the time this is aired, the event is happening tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So it'll be July 26th. If it changes, we'll let you know.
Oh, wow. Well, let's hope that a lot of people go enjoy. And as of
Yes.
go down the description, click links, make sure you go follow and go join the event or stream or whatever.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, so I do have a bit of a question. I noticed that, and you mentioned that you do the Starlight Children Fund for charity, where you maxed out $1,000, and then PGKT that just happened. Is there a reason why you chose that charity specifically at all, Mask?
Well, because we've done it before for the Mario Day events, thanks to the Stream for Starlight, who works with us occasionally. So we donated to them before.
Oh,
And
wow.
as of recently, I think a couple days ago, I made a suggestion and an announcement that we're going to kind of shift our focus outside of Mario Day events to different charities as well, to kind of try something new. So
Okay.
we're still doing Starlight Children's Foundation for Mario Day events, but we're doing something new, as I said, outside of that, because we're focusing now on suicide prevention.
Oh, that's actually
which is a very big...
It's a big deal.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that's a very big
It
deal.
is a big deal. It is a big deal. So I'm not going to go too personal into this, but as one who's been down that dark path before and passively often, it is a very serious thing to take into consideration, and we should not hesitate to help those in need. And as such, with our new mission, we're not going to one charity, but 2.
Oh, wow.
We're evenly splitting all our donations for the suicide prevention cause between the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention and the Trevor Project.
Oh, wow. Well,
so I'll go a bit in detail about those. The AFSP helps provide counseling and assistance to those in need, and also offer support for those dealing with suicide loss. And the Trevor Project needs not much introduction, but it is one of the biggest and most successful LGBTQ+ hotlines and support services in the world.
Oh, wow.
Both of them have been tremendously successful working together, and we're joining in on this cause.
Well, I hope the event goes off with a huge success.
Hope so too. With future events, we plan to donate collectively to both AFSP and Trevor Project very soon with upcoming charity events.
Wow. Well, thank you for running charity events like that. I'm gonna be honest, it was one of the things I'd never expected to happen in VRChat. When I first come in, I thought it was like a big game, but then I found communities like yours or the music communities like Verillium as an example, who run large charity events and stuff like that. And thank you for being one of those people that do.
Indeed, yes, anytime.
Oh, so I have another question for you as well. What kind of items do you have in your world building toolkit, and how have those evolved over your experience in VRChat?
So again, I mentioned Cyan Trigger as my primary Udon toolkit, but I also use a couple other things. I use Udon Sharp, again, for data storage, for questions, surveys, stuff like that. I actually started using Bakery, the Bakery Light Mapper that Unity offers. That allows for a lot more studio-accurate lighting, more realistic lighting. Occasionally use real-time lights in Millionaire Classic as an example, not all the time, to keep optimization in check. I also use what else? I use VR World Kit occasionally, and the Quest Switcher. I use Poyomi at times. And I also have used a couple community tools before, like LightSync in upcoming worlds. And even, what else have I done? I've used, how do you say it? Pokey, I think?
I'm not sure myself.
It's okay. They made the bone tracker that I use in my heads-up displays, and someone's like Berserk Immersed. So if I botch your name, if you're watching, I'm so sorry.
Oh, so may I ask, when using some of those items in your toolkit, is there anything that provided you the most trouble or issue, like recreating or even building a general? How did you overcome that hurdle to like get to your end goal?
I don't think I ever had trouble. I'm a very quick learner. The only real problem I have is how slow it can be at times to work with the Udon tools I have, like Cyan Trigger. Occasionally it slows down if there's a lot on the screen, which isn't too bad. It just takes a while, and it takes patience, but I'm fine with it.
Okay. And of your projects, which one do you feel the most accomplished finishing, or have finished?
That is a tough question, but I think it might be Press Your Luck or Jeopardy.
Okay. May I ask why?
Press Your Luck because of all the logic I put into it over time and how the set has visually evolved. And Jeopardy for the same reason, especially because with the randomizers, the increased studio accuracy, and how I paid more attention to detail, it really shows how my world building skills have really evolved over time.
So with the attention to detail, you mentioned some of the things you look at. How long is the process to make a world 100% accurate, if you're as close to as you can anyway? What is the process like, and how long is it?
So that process is ongoing because I'm always updating my worlds. Since it starts to today, I always try to update my world with new content, improved accuracies, and a lot more. Basically, anything I can find that's brand new that can update old stuff is always being considered.
Okay. So with as you said, your videos, photos, and stuff like that, what is the comparison like whenever you're looking at a photo and then trying to bring it over into the world? How long is that process till you're happy with the product?
Takes anywhere from a few days to a few weeks if I'm updating. Depends on how much effort I put into it.
Okay. Cool. And is the questions also as accurate as the world itself, Mask, or do you kind of choose certain things based upon your own wants?
Most of the time, like in Millionaire, I pluck questions from the show or the board games. There are some questions in the world like this one that are custom based on my own research.
Okay. Oh, so what is the like internal coding and stuff like to make some of those questions and the game's function itself comparison to the modeling?
So the coding is all Udon based again in Cyan Trigger, so it's more linear and it functions like for Millionaire, for example, buttons disappear when you click one or appear when you need them. And there's delays, it pulls various parts of an array for the questions and answers. it uses if or an else statements to determine if this is true or this is false. In the event of the 50-50, especially, like if this is the right answer, it will keep it on screen and leave one of the others and remove two of the other wrong ones. So it's a lot of interesting logic. And unlike the show, where it was set on two answers at that time, it's completely random which ones it will take away.
Okay. Oh, so how many game shows have you recreated over your time here in VRChat building worlds?
I have currently 30 public worlds, which includes the variants. The variants are different versions of certain sets, which include pilots, later seasons, or custom versions. So including those, I have over 30 public worlds and over 130 if you count the private ones and the tests.
Ah, so how many of all your projects, how many unfinished or projects you didn't feel comfortable publishing do you have out there, Mask?
I have mostly tests and also obsolete worlds. One of them was a test of Celebrity Jeopardy from the Saturday Night Live skit. That was more of a test to see how much I could do in a day. Then there was also Virtual Reality Transit, which was kind of like a test as like a fun project, kind of based on a transit, like a public transit system. That never got off the ground because I wasn't invested into it at the time, and it would have been tough. Some people have done it later on, but yeah, I also made a world for a friend where they would do their own podcast and the streams from. But when they stopped playing VRChat, I unlisted the world just because it would have been a waste, frankly, to keep it up a little bit. But there was my friend. I've read SummerCon with them. I just didn't think the world, since they weren't going to play VRChat for quite a while anymore, I felt like it wasn't necessary to keep it up.
Okay. So
no offense to my friend.
Okay. So with that being said, what has been some of your favorite events with your group?
It depends on. It's most of the game show nights we held for charity and ones we do at conventions and with collaborative communities.
Okay. Ooh. Well, thank you for answering that. And you mentioned earlier that you were making game show worlds in SDK2. How much has changed in world building, at least for you, going from SDK2 to SDK3 from that time?
Most of the stuff was manual and also driven by images and animators in SDK2. And especially in Press Your Luck, it was very evident because it used the original patterns from the original version of the show that Michael Larson memorized. And later on, with Udon, I made it completely random.
Ooh.
So it was driven by, and especially the scoreboards, you had to punch in numbers manually for each digit in the SDK2 version. When SDK3 came out, I could use calculators or the automatic score system in Press Your Luck to do it for me.
Okay. Oh, was the learning process of that time going into SDK3 tough, or did you learn really quickly? It was pretty easy.
It was pretty easy, especially with Cyan Trigger.
Okay.
Because it's an interface I'm familiar with, and it works. So yeah, there you go.
Cool. So I'm asking another question. I'm gonna seem very smooth brain for asking, but what is Cyan Trigger?
It's okay. It's okay. It is an SDK3 compiler that is modeled after SDK2 in its interface. So you have drag and drop. It's like linear. You can set interacts, you can set custom events. It works the same way as SDK2 visually, but it runs as SDK3. There's even a migrator if you want to move over SDK2 to SDK3. Sadly, it is at risk of being deprecated due to some issues with VRChat and the developers between the two. But hopefully it stays up, and hopefully Cyan Lasers is encouraged to keep up the task, especially with upcoming versions of Udon or Soba.
Mask what Soba is? I'm familiar with Udon.
Soba is the successor to Udon in a sense. We don't know much about it yet, other than what VRChat's been announcing and alluding to on their dev updates. It's hopefully they're saying it's going to be Udon compatible. We'll see what happens, but we'll see also, because hopefully if Cyan Trigger ends up not working later on, hopefully VRChat can make a solution of making a similar interface for Soba, giving developers and world makers options for how they want to make their worlds.
Okay. So, with that being said, what was some of your favorite updates to the worlds you've made over the years?
That would include extra content, further screen accuracies, and I think the seasonal variants as well, because occasionally I update my sets for like holidays or big events,
Okay.
especially for conventions. So like PGKT had the Family Feud event where it was all recolored, and there were Christmas versions of Jeopardy with different music and different colors, even a Halloween version. And the VCat Press Your Luck was a big one because it was all recolored. There was custom music, and there was a lot of good stuff about it.
Okay. So for the example of the VCat one you just mentioned where there's a lot of updates to it, are there any particular pieces that you are fond of that you put in for that event?
It's hard to say specifics other than everything about it.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's just what it is.
Alrighty. I appreciate that. And with the event coming up that you've mentioned before that's happening tomorrow, what could people expect about the event particularly, and how long has it been, and well, how long have you been planning it, and how did it get inspired? Hello, I'm actually here to interrupt the episode you're watching really quick to ask you a favor. Please come join us on any of the other locations we have. You can find us on YouTube and Spotify, both of which we post our episodes and are very up to date on both. We have Discord where you go to hang out all the time, where you're gaming and shooting the breeze over with many people over that way. Feel free to come join us. I invite you. If you wish to support us, we have a Patreon where we post a bunch of random bits, bobs, and extra podcasts every once in a while for you to go enjoy. Also, if you wish to support us while in VRChat, we're now part of the creator economy. So please come join if you wish to support us there. It's there for you to choose if you so wish. And thank you very much. And a special thanks to some of the people who have signed up on our Patreon, which are as follows. And I have written down so I'll remember. And that's a tough thing. Forbidden Zero, Niche, Aliquum, Future Oracle, Lesser Capybara, and Frozen. Thank you all very much. Enjoy the rest of the episode.
Technically, it's been in my head for about a year to do that event. And it never really started until VCat pursued me for doing another event as a summer event. My original idea was to do Wheel of Fortune with a similar home contest, but I couldn't reach out to Sony properly for authorization on that scale. I couldn't follow up, sadly, so that went down the drain. I decided to do Match Game instead because the IP holder at Fremantle is frankly a lot less strict on shows that aren't really on the air anymore, and YouTube and episodes from Buzzer on their own network are on YouTube pretty much freely occasionally, with the exception of The Price is Right, because that still airs. But shows like Match Game, Press Your Luck, Newlywed Game, which is actually also a Sony property, and others can be seen online as well and on Buzzer. And as far as I know, Fremantle doesn't really have that much of a problem with that show, with those shows that no longer air. So I felt it was a safer bet.
Okay. So when making these worlds or doing a game show based upon like the ones you've mentioned, you need permission. You run permission through the places that hold the copyright?
Well, they're mostly based on, they're fan-made efforts and they're non-profit. So we make it explicitly clear that on the rule boards that this is who owns the show. We're not affiliated with them, and with this is all fan-made, non-profit effort.
Okay. Cool. So with some of the things, have you ever had anyone who like was a part of any of these shows come in and see your work?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Hopefully you are recognized in the actual game show industry soon by a few people. But there was one instance at a convention where I mentioned it to an actual host.
Oh, how did that interaction go?
It went pretty well. If you know games like the aforementioned Newlywed Game, the host of that show is Bob Eubanks. He's hosted that show since 1966 at the earliest. He also hosted Trivia Trap and Card Sharks for CBS. Bob Eubanks also was one of the few people remaining who worked with the Beatles when they were still together, way back in the day. And I met him at Rhode Island Comic Con in 2023 alongside my first meeting of the Turtles cast. So he is a very, very solid person. He's a lot older now, but he's still got a spark in him. And I met him at Rhode Island Comic Con, and I mentioned what I do. I showed him my work, and I even had my Sony microphone case signed by him as a token of appreciation.
Oh, wow. What do you think about the work you do when you told him?
He thought it was pretty interesting. He said none of my shows are on there, but I took it lightly. I took it to heart. But yeah, because there are some of his shows are made by other friends, including Card Sharks and Trivia Trap. Doma Fox has made those, but he thought it was a pretty interesting thing.
How did you feel about the interaction meeting him? Sorry to interrupt you.
I thought it was it's okay. I thought it was legendary to meet an actual game show host like that. And the other one I met was Richard Karn at SummerCon last month.
Oh.
Richard Karn is most known for acting on Home Improvement, but he also hosted Family Feud after Louis Anderson for a little bit when it came back to syndication in 1999. He hosted, I think, from 2002 for 4 years till John O'Hurley took over.
Oh, wow.
Ooh. And at the same time, at the same con I met Richard Karn, I met the Turtles cast again to pitch the idea of the Turtles match game to them. And while I was showing off my bag, Townsend Coleman, the voice actor for Michelangelo, pointed out one of the logos on my tote, which was Super Password.
Oh, wow.
It was a show that aired in 1984. It was kind of the third installment of the Password series, originally started by Alan Ludden, who was the husband of Betty White. And it was that one was hosted by Bert Convey, who hosted Tattletales before that. And Super Password stuck out to Townsend because he was actually on that show in 1985 as a contestant.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
And indeed, yes. Patty Duke and Fred Grandy were the stars. Townsend Coleman was 2 years away from the Turtles gig, but on that set, that same taping week, that same taping day, the week of episodes, he met Cam Clark, who would eventually become the voice of Leonardo and Rocksteady. His episode would air 3 days later. And they both played well, but they didn't win against the champion, but they played very well. And Cam Clark has the story on his Facebook and the backstage picture of how they met.
Oh, wow. Oh.
Yes.
So how did the cast, what did the cast think of your pitch when you first told them?
They thought it was an interesting idea. Barry Gordon, who voices Donatello, encouraged me to reach out to their agent to kind of get the ball rolling. So I did. I messaged their agent the day I was leaving back home. I followed up with them on a little bit later on, I think, July 3rd, which is a Thursday, and I heard back later on that same night that he's interested in doing the event. He had a few questions. I answered them again in detail. So hopefully it works out from there. Oh,
wow. So when you were first, when you're going to college and people were just enjoying your recreations, what would you at that time think about what you're doing now and reaching out to the people in conventions and building worlds like this? How do you think you would reflect forward?
That is a tough feeling. It hasn't really sunk in yet. I do have ambitions later on to hopefully get on a real game show very soon, hopefully. I've tried to plan for the new press you're looking at ABC, haven't gone anywhere yet. Hopefully it happens soon. And I've also hoped to make movies based on those events here in VRChat. There's currently a documentary I'm working on called The Great Game Show Story, which chronicles the journey of the passion here in VRChat of the game show recreations, how I've recruited people, what people think, and what the steps are going forward.
Oh, wow. So what started the documentary, Mask?
Kind of just a self-reflection of what I've been doing and how it's kind of inspired people to make their own worlds, how people have reached out to me, how I've reached out to them, the connections I've made along the way, and how people admire this work.
Oh, wow. So as a question to you, how do you feel reflecting back on your own journey so far?
It's been tremendous. It's been a long time since I started. In 2 years, it's going to be 10 years since I started, 2027. And reflecting upon it that way means there have been a lot of ups and downs, but it's really been a great ride so far. We've been continuing to forge new friendships and links to communities. We don't intend on stopping anytime soon with new charities to donate to, with people to support, friends to make, and new shows to recreate. So that's not going to stop as long as we're still here, and we'll continue forward as best we can.
Hmm. And you also mentioned you have some ambitions that you wish to do. May I ask, what are they?
Again, it's to get on a real game show, hopefully to kind of see how well I do, like on Press Your Luck if it's still on by then. And maybe to get in again to movie making, as I said.
Okay. What has inspired your want to go into movie making?
To kind of tell stories, and also maybe be an animator or a voice actor at times, to kind of get myself out there.
Have you done anything so far in VRChat in order to try to get a feel for it?
Sometimes, learning the drone system a little bit with the cameras. I made my own trailers for the Great Game Show story with the release date of this winter. Hopefully I get back on the ball soon and quickly in order to meet that release date.
Oh, what makes you choose that as the release date for it?
Originally, it was supposed to let me get on Press Your Luck if it happened, but it didn't. So I'll have to progress without that and hopefully get the interviews going, the compilations of my shows done, kind of behind the scenes footage and stuff like that, and the whole story behind it all.
Oh, wow. Well, let us know when you are going to release it. We'll help you promote the whole thing. It sounds like a really awesome
Indeed, yes,
adventure.
absolutely. Indeed, yes.
Oh, okay. So, did you ever expect this journey you've been on when you hopped in VRChat in the first place?
Not really. I didn't expect it to really take off. I expected it to just be a niche thing that I wanted to make sure I could host on my own time and really just enjoy as like a passive thing. But when word started getting out about what I was doing, I became more comfortable making it public, made more worlds, made new friends, and really kind of evolved.
So, over the course of that evolution, what has been some of your, I guess, toughest ventures, and how did you overcome those ventures? Whether running communities, world building, any of the above events.
That is a very, very tough question because some of it is personal. I can't describe it completely for that reason. But the toughest thing of my journey was losing contact with people, falling out, stuff like that, because it kind of contributed to a lot of bad feelings and also inspired me to pursue the suicide prevention charity motive now.
Okay.
And yeah, so there have been some falling outs with some content creators that I'll not name them exactly, but for those who have heard, I'm sure you know which ones.
Well, I'm sorry to press into something that holds pain.
It's okay.
So amongst your journey as well, what have been some of your biggest inspirations, or I guess outside guides people have helped you through your journey?
That I would say Jar is one of the biggest inspirations in continuing my world building. As you know, Jar, she has worked tremendously hard making VRChat game worlds like PvP games. Like mostly the Murder series. She also made Audience Anarchy, Stonewall Showdown, the Among Us port, and a lot of fun games. And she has her own community called the Cult of Jar, which has been around for quite some time. She basically started making those ones since I did, basically around the same time. And SDK2 with the first version of Murder. And I remember that very distinctly when it was new. I only met Jar as of 2 years ago more in depth, and we've been very good friends ever since. And we intend to keep it that way. I met a lot of her friends as well, including Missy Nickel, Ruralist, and a lot of other great people that join her game nights and uphold her community and keep it together.
Okay.
And I really look up to her as a role model in a sense when it comes to making certain things. In fact, there have been some inspirations in the hub that were inspired by some of what she's done. Like the new Ram Roulette wheel was based on her own wheel in her Game Night Palace. It's a similar concept, a little bit different, but she's fun. She really thinks it's a fun thing. We did some things differently between our two wheels. Hers is physics-based, mine is animator-based.
For someone who doesn't mess around with world building too much, would you mind explain the difference between the two?
Yeah, so Jar uses Jar's wheel called Spin to Win, and intentionally spelled that way. How it works is the wheel spins, the flipper works, and it's physics-based. So when you pull the lever, clicking it, it will spin the wheel and it will slow down, and whatever it lands on is something that can happen to you. Like, you can swim in the air, your avatar becomes tall, becomes small, you can run super fast, you get teleported to a demonic hellscape, you get teleported to an island, or you become a Uganda Knuckles and forced into it for 60 seconds.
Ah, okay. And how...
My wheel...
Yeah, I
Sorry.
I was going to ask, how is yours?
My wheel looks a little differently. It's a little simpler. So the wheel winds up, and then it spins, and it has a blur shader on the wedges, which ramps the value with the animator. And then as it spins, it teleports. It sets its rotation to a certain value of where it's going to stop. And the blur shader hides that a little bit to make it look a little more smooth. The flipper doesn't move, so there are a few things I need to fix about it. And the wedges are mostly different. There's still some things that are the same, like making you run super fast, or changing your avatar, or teleporting you to a certain place. But there are some new ones, like it'll immobilize you for 30 seconds. You get a Liberty Mutual ad in your face. What else? You can get transported to a place called Whammy Hell, where it's literally just a bunch of whammies that hop around and laugh at you endlessly till you respawn. You get a coin, as like in that little Stonks picture. You get Flash Blind, or you get Jump Scare by Oscar the Grouch.
Oh,
So it's a bunch of weird memes.
I don't blame you. Those all sound really fun. And
It is really fun and hilarious.
from people like Jar and other people who have guided you on your journey, what has been some of the best advice you received?
I guess just keep doing what you're doing and don't stop. No matter how dark things seem, no matter how hard you want to quit, if you quit, no one else will pick up the pace for you, no one will pick up the passion. Because one thing I learned about myself, especially when I was really close to shutting things down one time recently, I learned that if you aren't able to continue the passion, no one else will and won't have the power to. The one who started it has the greatest power to keep it going.
That is some really good advice. How long did that advice take to sink in for, as you mentioned, when you tried to quit? What made you kind of reflect on that advice?
Just with how people have been kind of very receptive of the whole thing, and how my friends kind of my spirits, and self-realization as well, when I saw the Gameshow Vault was continuing to post master tapes of whammy animations that have been lost. So that really had shown light on the situation and encouraged me to keep going. And that was actually, at the time I was doing the tape, it was last week-ish.
Oh, wow.
Earlier this week. So yeah, at the time I was being taped, it was like earlier this week.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm glad you're able to re-find your vigor for continuing. It's something I'm sure all of us who's done content creation, or their worlds or videos or whatever has gone through at one point. And I'm glad you're able to find
Indeed.
yours.
Me too.
You know, one of the bits of advice that stuck with me as well was actually said by my co-host Raptor, who said once, "If you just have one, it's worth doing." And there's been that really didn't sink in for me till I actually was about to quit myself. I was on a work day, about like figure over the quit, delete everything button on YouTube. And then I got a message out of the blue from a friend of mine who said, "Whenever I watch your show, I feel like I'm with a friend group again." He left years prior to go to college and pursue a career, and then he went to get into art. But I haven't heard from him until that moment. And it's kind of sunk in at that moment what Raptor really said, and it took that message for it to click. So I'm glad you're able to have that a moment like that yourself.
Indeed, yes.
So what world projects are you currently working on, and what can people expect from you in the next couple of years, or that you want to work on for Worlds?
That can come in the form of a new promo for my community.
Future line, edit that in.
Hello everyone, my name is GSGenesis, VR's game show pioneer, also known as the creator of the vast majority of fully functional game show worlds seen in VRChat. Over the past several years, I have single-handedly recreated iconic formats like Jeopardy, Press Your Luck, Family Feud, Millionaire, and more. I have also arranged and hosted events for various communities and events, including exhibiting at Virtual Market and PJKT. My work has also been featured through various content creators and YouTubers like Drumsy. In addition, we have donated money to the Starlight Children's Foundation several times, with our biggest being $1,000 at the Virtual Market Press Luck event last year. As a very passionate creator, the attention to detail on each of these worlds is phenomenal. From the intricate design of the sets, to using as much master quality level content I can find, to the feeling that each player feels like they've gone back in time to the actual studio, is very important to me. Such passion has allowed me to work and form friendships with various other world makers, such as renowned VRC game world creator Jar. Each world I make follows a few simple yet imperative concepts. Accessibility for all who play through Quest, Android, and iOS, as all my maintained shows are completely cross-platform, followed by incredible accuracy to the source material, and finally, total functionality as seen on TV, complete with revolutionary camera and recording systems for every up-to-date set. And if the quality of the sets isn't enough to impress, the quantity will. I have over 30 public, fully functional worlds for anyone to join and play, from classics like Match Game and Wheel of Fortune, original ideas like The Gauntlet, and even the Gameshow Hub, which contains the portfolio of not just my work, but my colleagues as well, such as Fox. I also help found the Gameshow communities of VRChat, a group and Discord server that works with a collective of affiliates where we collaborate, connect, and create together. Anyone with a strong passion for these game shows is always welcome, and we encourage participation at our VRChat game show nights, normally held twice a week. As part of our mission, we always seek to push the envelope and bring out our best work, and within our communities, including events we work with like PJKT, Virality, and Virtual Market, we aim for success every step of the way. And since 2017, only one group has achieved the experience, the connections, and the open charity that we provide through near impossible or obsolete experiences, the game show communities of VRChat. We are very pleased to keep bringing you such amazing content. But before we tell you how you can become a part of our groups, I have something very special to announce to all of you watching. Today is the 18th anniversary of the taping of Bob Barker's last show on The Price is Right. People were ecstatic to see the world's greatest master of ceremonies one more time, and the air in the studio was intense, joyous, but emotional. And on August 26, 2023, Bob Barker passed away at the age of 99. It was a sad day for Hollywood and game show culture, but the game show communities and I plan to honor his legacy in the only true way we know how, through a new game show world. And now here is the final trailer for my newest, biggest, and most advanced show of all. Here it is. Get set, VRChat! It's time to come on down! Over $350 million in cash and prizes given away. Over 10,000 aired episodes. 9,200 new cars. And over 50 years of game show excellence on television. And it's finally coming to the Metaverse. You're gonna play Here it comes! The fabulous 60-minute Price is Right VR. Based on the 1980s version of the program, GSGenesis' newest show is nothing like you've ever seen, played, or hosted. As the first game show world to use the new auto-host system, there is no need for a show controller or camera operator. All you need is a host, announcer, and at least 12 potential and excited contestants. The Price is Right VR also contains a new truckload of prizes to bid on and nearly every pricing game from the era. Any number, cliffhangers, money game, safe crackers, free strikes, and of course, Plinko. Not only is the show incredibly fun to play and host, but anyone on other platforms can also join. The Price is Right VR will be available on the PC VR, Quest, Android, and iOS versions of VRChat on day one. With a versatile logic system allowing players to interact with the show in many ways, a completely randomized roster of pricing games, and an endless array of prizes, VRChat players and groups can join on the fun, but only if the price is right. Price is Right VR will officially release on December 12th, 2025, the same day as what would have been Bob Barker's 102nd birthday. I plan to keep you all updated on the progress of this exciting new world, and here's how. The Game Show communities of VRChat has both a Discord server and a VRChat group. To join our Discord, type in the link shown on your screen. You can also join our VRC group using shortcode GSGVRC.1583. There you can not only join our Discord, but the VR Game Show Discord server, including their VRC group, complete with twice-a-week event access with shortcode VRGame.9490. Remember, you must be a member of the groups through both Discord and VRChat and must be 18 years or older to participate. Server etiquette and VRChat terms of service apply. We thank you all very much for allowing us to provide such outstanding work. From me to you, and on behalf of my co-creators, moderators, studio staff, colleagues, and friends, we hope to see you on our sets very soon. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Okay. Oh, well, hope you enjoyed that. And with that being said, pins. There we go. With that being said, we'll ask you the last couple of questions before we start wrapping up. First of which is the name used in VRChat. Where'd it come from, and why do you use it?
Originally, my Steam account was just called Genesis, based on a character I was working on as kind of like the small novella I was working on in high school about like this kind of cross between Star Wars and G.I. Joe, with this young boy based on myself who adopts the codename Genesis in like a space military.
Ooh.
And I eventually used it for my account name. Later on, I eventually found a little small friend group who I play Garry's Mind with occasionally. We formed a group called Game Family. And my original VRChat was GSGenesis, named after Game Family. That was my original username. Eventually, as I started doing more game show stuff, I changed the F to an S, implying game show as the standpoint. So that's my current name.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for explaining that story. That's actually a really cool way for you to have developed your name over time. And the avatar you use, where'd it come from? Why do you use it? Is there anything about it that means anything to you?
Originally, it was a Nanachi as my primary base with a game show suit. Eventually, I changed it to a human to reflect myself because I just want to be myself. Nothing really else to it. The suit took a while to evolve. Originally, it was a kind of mutish gray suit, jacket and pants with a red vest and the green and white tie and a kind of a pastel pink shirt. Later on, the suit changed like a dark blue because of a special acquisition I made. Shortly after, the original host of JRP, Alex Trebek, who hosted the show since '84, passed away in 2020 from pancreatic cancer. And later on, some of his suits went on sale on eBay. One of his suits stuck out to me as one of the last suits he used on the show, which was on show 8282, taped September 9th, 2020, and aired on 9 days after he passed away, November 17th. So I have that suit. I bought it for $600, and all the proceeds of that sale went to the American Cancer Society. I have certificate of authenticity with it, the tag showing when it was used on, and that's all it fits. I eventually recolored my avatar to reflect that, and eventually I recolored the avatar again to reflect with a couple changes. The vest is now blue for a couple reasons. First, to kind of make it a lot more color friendly and less strict on the eyes, because red and green are complementary colors, and that's primary colors of color blindness. So I want to make it a little easier to see and less intense on the eyes. So I changed it to blue. The second reason is for, it's for political beliefs, but I won't get into that.
Understandable. Well, thank you very much for explaining all of that. I appreciate learning all of that about you. It's one of my favorite things to actually ask every person we have on, actually. I remember a long time ago, I always wondered why do people choose their names and why the avatars. It feels kind of personal, but also it's a public way of people explaining themselves. So I appreciate learning yours. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if there's anyone wishes to find you or any of your works or anything you'd like to promote, what would you like to promote? How can they find you?
Well, I have a YouTube channel, a Blue Sky, and a Discord server. So my YouTube and Blue Sky accounts go under my username GSGenesis, and the Discord community is the Game Show community of VRChat. If you saw the promo earlier, the Discord link is in that description at the end of the video, and we also have our VRChat group, which goes by short code GSC VRC.1583. You'll have to apply to join. We'll let you in. And there's also the VR Game Show Night group, which is an affiliate of the Game Show community of VRChat with short code VRGame.9490. Both groups work together to host our events and organize our commitment to the Game Show passion. So you have to be 18 years of age or older to join the group, and terms of service apply with VRChat and server rules.
Well, again, GSGenesis, thank you for your time coming on. It was an absolute honor learning about you and your community and your journey. Honestly, I enjoyed it. So
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
You're welcome.
No problem. And with you, the audience, as a point, we'll kind of address you, the audience, a little bit. And usually Raptor will say some sort of funny quote or whatever, but I'll leave you with this, something we kind of talked about earlier. Raptor told me a long time ago, if you only have one, it's worth doing. It could be almost anything you want. It could be video game or making video games or worlds like what GSGenesis does, making videos, podcasts, running a community, you name it. We've all been at one point in that point where you said, I want to quit. Don't. Look around you. Your friends who are around you right now, probably even as you're watching this, are your one. A lot of the time, the one or two or people that join your thing or enjoy your work are the people you want to do the thing for, because they enjoy it for the same reason why you started, whatever that may be. So keep it going. Remember, you only need one. With that being said, folks, please join us at any other folks here at Degen. We have lots of stuff for you. We have whole other shows that are starting and more to come in the future. We hope to see you again in the Metaverse, folks. Later.